So exciting.
Yeah.
We're here.
Hi. Yeah.
We're in Carri Twigg's home. This
Welcome.
is episode 3 of Twig and Jenkins. We're in one place at one time.
So fun. I love having you in LA. You should bring the family out here.
We can't wait. Twig, you can't see. Twig's home is so beautiful. There are surfboards over here. There's a beach over here. It is the exact opposite of shitty Washington, D.C. So God bless you.
Well, Washington has its charm.
It's true.
I'm coming next week. I'm excited. I love DC.
So Twig and Jenkins. So here are the things that have happened. 1, you and I started doing this Zoom.
Yeah.
2, now it's a show.
Right?
3, we have a full, incredible crew. We're shooting this episode. 4, we have all this other stuff. We're going to do DC next week.
Yep.
We're going to do convention in Chicago. Possibly a party. Stay tuned. And we're going to be covering, we have 90 days left. How many days left do we have?
89.
89.
I think we're sub 90. Yeah.
So Carri Twig, from our guy, Michael Yo, because I feel like the internet was saying from the window to the walls, and I feel like that is not great because the next line is not the greatest image because that refers to genitalia,
Yeah.
sweaty
Sweaty
genitalia,
nads. Yeah.
sweaty balls. So let's not do that. Michael Yo came up with walls it out. Walls it out. Walk it out. Walls it out. Walls it out. How are you feeling about our guy Walz? How are you feeling about our guy Walz?
Top of Walz. I'm stoked. I mean, he's holding that little piglet. He's coming right after my Midwestern heart. Like, I love Papa Walz, obviously. He's a history major. He's a teacher. Like, I love this guy. I love his record. The whole thing.
He's got it all. It feels like almost too good. I'm like worried because it's the way he come out. No one knew who this guy was. And he hits so many boxes that, to be candid, like Kamala Harris just didn't check, right? He's hitting, not just regional, but I think we'll get into it in our outline. But my biggest concern with this campaign is men.
Yeah.
My biggest concern was particularly white men. And you put Walz against Trump and JD Vance, and you're trying to talk about like what is a real man. Our guy Walz is like Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights in real life, holding a piglet. You know what I mean? Like giving kids free school lunches. He's everything that we want, everything that we need. And he also came up with the weird stuff, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I nailed that.
You've loved the weird stuff.
Because it's so true. It's succinct, it's accurate,
Yeah.
it's punchy, it's memorable. It's sort of everything you want in a communication device.
Democrats are not good at attacks either. We're so nice. We're very sweet. You know what I mean?
I don't know that it's that. I don't know that it's that. I think that's sweet of you to say. But I think it's actually that Democrats are a little bit more willing, and this is a broad generalization, but I think for the most part, we're more willing to attempt to find legitimacy in an attack. We're more willing to be like, okay, so that's partly true, or I can understand where you're coming from. And we sort of reject a dismissiveness that the right does really well. Just like, I'm not even going to hear that. I'm not going to acknowledge that. I'm not going to, like, I'm fundamentally changing the conversation. I'm not going to engage on the sort of field that you're trying to pull me on. And I think we do ourselves a disservice when we take on board the criticisms of other people. And weird is so good because it is that happy marriage of, it's not totally dismissive, but it's also not paternal or super judgy or, the way that you were talking earlier, maybe not earlier, but the way you were mentioning the deplorables comment from Hillary or the way that you were, or the Mitt Romney 47%, those were people from outside of a group insulting another group. Yes. And Walz is like, no. These guys and I are the same. I know these guys. and they're weird.
Yeah, no, that's the difference.
Yeah.
The deplorables was so bad, and God bless Hillary and her campaign, but it was so bad because it was so elitist, and it was so like, these people are not smart enough, or you know what I mean? Like, it was probably like one of the worst communications blunders in a very long time. To call Trump supporters deplorables is fucking awful. And Romney sort of did it with the 47%. But the Walz thing is great because what he's saying is like, no, like, we're all normal. They're like, Trump and Vance are weird. You know what I mean? Like, and not even his supporters. The supporters, there is that separation, I think, that he's done a very good job of, which is, you know, they're hucksters. They're charlatans, right? Like, they are trying to trick you into thinking that they actually give a fuck about you.
Right.
Which is all such bullshit. And it sets up this really great dynamic because the biggest thing I was worried about, you and I were talking about this earlier, which is this campaign is going to come down to gender. This campaign is going to come down to, we saw it with the Hillary campaign, the challenges she had being the first female, you know, nominee, Democratic nominee. We're going to see it again with Kamala. But even before we got to this place where it's Kamala, Trump, with the selection of Vance, couchfucker JD Vance, like, he was already squarely focused on, we're going to run up the score with men. We're just going to run up the score with men. We're going to have this guy out here making fun of women who don't have children.
Yeah.
We're going to have this guy out here. We're going to try to keep him from fucking as many couches as possible. But also, we're going to have this guy out here trying to, like, ginny up this, like, bro vote.
Yeah.
When he's the least fucking bro I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, you're, you know, again, now, by the way, I am, it's like osmosis.
I've gotten you on board.
My hatred of JD Vance is come directly from Twig. From the very beginning, I was like, I don't really care about this guy, but I hate him so much because of you now.
Thank you. I appreciate that solidarity, you know? It's allyship.
But Walz just, like, smashes all of that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's a really good foil. I can't wait for the VP debate.
Oh, my God.
I can't wait.
It's going to be delicious.
I can't wait. When is that? Is there a date been set?
You know I don't know, like,
You don't
facts.
know facts.
Just vibes. I'm here for vibes. Sling a couple opinions. I don't know time. What is time?
What is time? Time is the
I've
construct.
never had any idea what date it is.
So Carri Twig, So Carri Twig is back. The last time we spoke, we should do the state of the race. Let's do this. Because you wanted to ask.
Well, I don't pay attention to polls, obviously, facts.
Right.
And so I rely solely on you and Frenchie. Shout out Frenchie to tell me numbers.
Oh, yeah. God bless. So the numbers. Newer numbers. So the last time we spoke, I mentioned two things. I mentioned that the 538 national poll had Harris leading for the very first time, which seems so exciting, given that her unfavorables less than a month ago were 17 points in the opposite direction. Right. She's now relatively even with unfavorables. Like, she's favorable, unfavorable, and she's now up 2-3 in the national polls against Trump. But here's the thing, y'all. National polls don't fucking matter. I'm looking right at the camera.
Why don't you say a clean one so we can boost it?
Oh, I know. You're... Also, Twig is like my parents. Twig's parents hate that I curse. Or they just hate cursing in general.
Well, yeah, I have a non-cursing home.
Family,
and so I don't know if I've ever sworn in front of my parents.
I know.
Outside of, like, being very, very upset about something.
I apologize. Okay.
Yeah, so no, my dad definitely has watched and been like, you need to tell that Jenkins.
Really?
Yes. He's like, you need to tell that Jenkins to maybe ease up, okay? Cool it.
No.
Cool it.
All right,
with his, thick Caribbean accent.
I'm going to stop cursing. All right, here's the state of the race. But I'm going to look at the barrel, and I'm going to say it again. Do not look at national polls. Just don't do it. National polls don't matter. It just does not matter. Hillary Clinton won the national. She had more votes than Donald Trump. It does not matter. What you should be looking at are battleground state polls. We've got 90 days left, 89 days left.
89 days.
Here's where the battleground states are. We ready?
Ready.
Wisconsin, Kamala's up 0.5, which is great. It's very exciting. Pennsylvania, Trump's up 1.8. Michigan, Kamala's up 2, which is huge.
For now.
For now. Arizona, Trump's up 2.8. Nevada, Trump's up 4. North Carolina, Trump's up 3. Georgia, Trump's up 0.8. Trump's up in every one of these battleground states.
Aside from Michigan.
Aside from Michigan, which, I mean, the fact that we're up in Pennsylvania is...
But he said he's up 1.8.
Oh, no, we're not up in... We're not up in Pennsylvania.
We might have better cameras.
We're not up in Pennsylvania. We're down in Pennsylvania. No, I mean, if the election were today, I'll show you guys my notes on my phone. If the election were today, Donald Trump is elected president. So don't look at the polls. I love the memes. I love Brat, coconut trees, Beyonce videos. I love it all. But we're still losing. We're losing as of today. So, am I being too hyperbolic here? I just want to...
No, you're stating
I'm
numbers.
stating fact. I just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of the fact that we are losing.
Yeah.
And we need to continue the momentum, and the attacks are going to come in hard and fast and furious, and they're coming already.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Great.
And I'm gonna stop cursing.
Are you? All
I
right.
apologize.
Maybe just bring him down a couple. Maybe
I'm gonna
every
stop
other
cursing.
sentence, perhaps.
I'm gonna stop cursing. I was cursing in an enthusiastic way when Kamala and Tim. Can I call him Tim?
Why not?
Might as well. We're on a first name
He
basis.
seems like he'd tell you to call him
I think
Tim.
he'd like it. I think he'd like for me to call him Tim. Hit the road of those states. So we mentioned all those battleground states. They hit Wisconsin. They hit Georgia, and they hit Philly. 10,000 people at each of these rallies. I personally was pretty moved. I thought Kamala was excellent. I'm not sure if you watched these rallies. Not really. She's great. A+.
Well, let's talk about what happened in Michigan.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I did see that.
She was great, except for this one moment. This one
And of
moment.
course, that's the only thing that gets replayed over and over and over again.
You tell us. You tell us what happened in Michigan.
Well, so I'm not even... So she was heckled by pro-Palestinian protesters.
Yeah.
And she said, if you want Donald Trump to win, you can say that. Otherwise, I'm still talking.
Yeah.
In a pretty pointed and direct fashion. And so when we were at the White House, we actually had to deal with this a lot because it was the height of DACA, Dreamers, mass deportations, and President Obama was getting heckled everywhere he went, and the White House was sort of like very intense about any time he had a crowd event.
Yeah.
And so I remember how specific and kind of practiced and intentional they would be about what they would say, how they would say it, and he always seemed to do it quite well.
He always had a strategy.
Always had a strategy.
He knew that the protesters were going to be there. And I think that he, in my opinion, again, it wasn't really covered that widely because I think he was able to diffuse those situations pretty well.
Right.
You know?
She had to know that they were going to be Palestinian. Yeah. I mean, being in Michigan, heading into the convention, there has to be a strategy. And so if this was their strategy, if this was her pre-planned in the event of a heckler or in the event of a protest, I'm going to say this. I don't think it was the right.
Missed the mark.
It's not being, I don't know how it did in the crowd. And I don't know if it's just sort of my algorithm and echo chamber, my own political instincts and preferences that make me think it was a bad way of dealing with that scenario. What do you think?
There's two things happening, I think. One, you're right. In the moment, like watching it, if I were at that rally, I think as a supporter of this, historic ticket that was just announced, I would probably say like she handled it right because we're all there for this moment, right?
Sure.
But you have to remember, it's like anything. Like you and I work in this business. It's like when you're doing these events and there's cameras, there's the people in the room and then there's everyone else watching at home.
Yeah, which is an exponentially larger audience.
Exponentially larger audience who are not your biggest supporters.
Yeah.
Who are skeptical of you. Who are wondering whether they're going to vote for you or not. Who are being introduced to you, as you just mentioned. Many people a month ago, the vast majority of the American public had a pretty unfavorable opinion of Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
So you're introducing
If they knew anything
yourself.
about her at all.
If you even had an opinion on her.
And maybe the unfavorability was also like, I don't know this chick.
Right,
Yeah.
totally. So you have to have a plan with the protesters. And you had to know that, to your point, Michigan, it has the highest population of Muslims, South Asians, Arab Americans in the country.
Yeah.
It is also a state where Biden was down 15 points a month ago because of the war in Gaza. You know that's what's going to happen. So when the protesters come, you should have a just like ready to go, in my opinion, acceptance, like a little bit of respect towards the fact that the protesters were young women, many of whom were Muslim women. The dismissive nature of, I think that her comment was, what was the comment?
If my memory serves, it was
not great.
Say that you can, if you want Trump to win, you can say that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm still speaking, or I'm speaking.
It's not great. I would workshop that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a better iteration. I think a couple things. I think she's been applauded in the past for when people have interrupted her, particularly when she was in the Senate and saying, I'm still speaking. Like that was this big moment. So I can understand the impulse or the instinct to go back to that, even though I don't think it translates into this moment. I think that she missed an opportunity to like not be combative around this particular issue that she's going to face for the remainder of the campaign, and whether or not you think that these types of protests are still an effective way of creating some sort of intervention around a policy issue, which I could go back and forth about. Her job is to be unflappable, and I think it made her look as though it was really under her skin.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair to pin the election of Donald Trump on people who are trying to protest around a humanitarian crisis, an issue that they feel really passionately about. And then third, it was a really interesting contrast too, because tens of thousands of voters in the primaries, in the Minnesota primary, had sort of started the uncommitted movement where they were writing in protest of the war in Gaza, and Governor Walz was very sort of like, this is a fundamental American right. Protesting is an important way for folks to communicate the issues that they care about. And I think this is an important way for them, and this is like a good way to demonstrate and raise awareness and hopefully call action to this issue that they care about. And he was sort of widely celebrated for that response. Yes. And so that's an interesting compare and contrast in this fresh little ticket that we have. And so I'll be interested to see if when she's interrupted again, which she obviously will be, if she reacts in the same way, which would then demonstrate that it is a strategy that they feel is the right one and that is playing better than they think.
It's not the right strategy, though. I'm just going to say it out loud. It's not the right strategy because you're going to need young people to vote for you, number one, to win. And I think that there was an opportunity, and this is the beauty of the fact, I do think that I love Kamala Harris so much, but she's given this really great gift of being able to inherit all the really good things that the Biden administration has done, which is a lot of really great stuff, and kind of distance herself from the things that she may disagree with personally. Like, that is such a gift. The fact that Joe Biden is still president of the United States, but you are charting your vision for the next 4 years, you can separate yourself. And I think that, there's been a lot written about Gaza. I think there's a lot of historic protests that are happening about Gaza. But I can't even remember who said it. I mean, it was like literally like a fucking presidential historian, excuse my language. But they were like, if you were 18 to 22 years old and this is your first entry into politics and you aren't protesting what's happening in Gaza,
Yeah.
like, when is a good time to protest?
Yeah, sure.
When is an appropriate time to protest?
And it is the job of young people.
And it is the job of young people to protest.
To protest, to be unreasonable, to not think about sort of the broad scale political ramifications. It is their job to be vocal and to be agitated and to push the elected leaders.
And Kamala and Obama would say that. I mean, not Kamala. I said President Obama would say that all the time.
Yeah.
Protest is good.
Yeah.
So she's got to figure that out because it was not received well.
And it was sort of her first, it's being framed,
yeah,
at least
true.
in the media, as her first mess up, her
Good
first
point.
misstep of this very young campaign. So we'll see how that unfolds.
She's going to fix it. Sean Boyles loves that we just spent 20 minutes on Gaza. by the way. That was definitely in the outline. Let's spend 20 minutes on fucking Gaza.
Worth it, though, because, you know.
The one thing I will say, moving on, is, you know, from the left, folks were pretty upset by that. The right is losing their minds in such a beautiful way. I've been watching.
Yeah, you spend so much time over there. Tell me, what's happening?
I've been watching all of it. I've been watching Rogan, Ben Shapiro, Fox News, Charlie Kirk. And the term that they're using is gaslighting, which is so fascinating to me because it shows to me that they're admitting that the Kamala launch could not have gone better. And so the idea of gaslighting is they're saying, no one liked Kamala 2 weeks ago. Now everyone loves Kamala. And so the media...
Who's gaslighting who?
The media.
Oh.
The media apparatus is gaslighting everyone.
But aren't they part of the media?
I mean, yeah.
Joe Rogan is like, what are you talking about? The media.
Look,
More people watch Joe Rogan than MSNBC.
like by tenfold.
What are you talking about?
But that's their attack. Their attack is, she's not good. She's not qualified. This is all bullshit. I'm curious.
That sounds like gaslighting.
It's gaslighting of gaslighting. Do we think that works? Like, I was watching it. There's a little bit of it where I was like, there's always going to be something that resonates when people are skeptical of the media, quote unquote, the media, you know? But I wonder if that gaslighting argument will work.
I mean, those are your homies. I don't know. You tell me. Yeah, maybe. I think you would have to already be inclined to that way of thinking already. And it's like,
right, true.
I don't know that that's going to represent some massive shift other than outside. I think they're just servicing an audience that's already where they are.
100%.
And giving them more fuel to remain where they are and not be like seduced by this new candidate that represents this existential threat to their preferred candidate.
And their target audience is men.
Sure.
Largely white men.
Yeah.
And Trump went on Aiden Ross.
I saw that. I'd never heard of this Aiden Ross.
You've never heard of Aiden Ross?
No, of course not. I mean...
Twig, come on, bro. I thought we were hip. We're hip. We're cool.
Zoo.
Ducky. Austin Powers reference. Macarena.
You are certainly more so on the internet. You're just more online than I am. I'm trying to catch up, but...
There's no reason why you should know who Aiden Ross is.
But I got sucked in. I mean, I watched that shit for 40... Sorry, Dad. I watched that for 45 minutes.
You should apologize to your father for cursing, by the way. Apologize to Dad.
I was raised better, okay.
It's my fault.
I have
it's
strong
my fault.
linguistic skills. I can choose other words.
I have inherited Twig's hatred of JD Vance, and you have inherited my vulgarity.
Which is exactly what my father's worried about.
Yeah.
That's exactly why he wants you to stop swearing so much. I'm still so impressionable.
I'm gonna stop swearing.
So I think... But so I watched that Aiden Ross interview for a solid... 45 minutes, probably.
Wow. Wait, you got to walk
hour.
people through, especially because you've never seen this dude stream before.
No.
Like, what are you thinking when you're watching that?
Who is this young man?
Who is this young man? If you could paint a picture for people who didn't watch it, like,
But the setup was really interesting. So
Yeah.
it's him and Donald Trump, and they have an audience behind them.
Weird, like, but they're back.
But they're really,
Yeah, it
so
was
I was
weird.
just like, what is happening? Are they going to turn around and ask questions? But no, they were just like sort of passively watching the back of these guys' heads.
Yeah, it was so weird.
And then they played this word association game that I found really interesting. Trump does not have a deep bench of adjectives, turns out. So he was asked to describe certain other people in one word. Like AOC and others.
What did he say about AOC?
At first, he was complimentary.
Of course, because he's cute. Trump is, if there's anything that Trump is he's
Reliably visual.
He's reliably a visual. That is his, like, number one standard of all things. It does not surprise me.
Yeah, he was. I think he was like, she shines bright.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I mean, she's crazy. Or no, he was like, she's fake. No, he called her fake first, and then he's like, but she does shine really bright.
Yeah,
So I'll say bright, or I'll say shiny, or
Sounds
something
like a Trump. That sounds like Trump.
But Aiden was really.
I mean, he's a mess. Let's just be clear. This kid is 23 years old.
But he was doing a lot of his work. He's like, you were treated horribly by those reporters at the NABJ. You were treated horribly by Fannie, the prosecutor in Georgia. Like, you were treated, these people have treated you so poorly. And I was like, really pumping up this, like, fragility.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are such big, tough, high T dudes. And, like,
they're like,
you're
are
getting
you okay?
bullied by a bunch of ladies all over town.
Wow.
It was fascinating.
Snowflake vibes, what you're saying.
But shockingly,
Yeah.
I really was, and maybe I just come from an older era, but it's just like, what happened to the emotional repression? What happened to masculinity being about emotional repression, guys? Because they were very upset and very in this like victim mentality of everyone is so mean to you and everyone's so mean to me and I'm treated so horribly. And it was sort of like, take your punch and move on.
Yeah,
which I'm not saying it's healthy either, but
they
it was
shouldn't
fascinating.
have. I mean, like, look, if I was Aiden Ross's producer for that, I would have just spent an hour talking about the assassination attempt. That's the only thing I would talk about.
It went on for hours.
Yeah, think about it.
So there was 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, it was 4 hours.
I mean, it was long.
Yeah. They kept going.
So I mean, it was 2 hours in when I started watching, I think.
Incredible.
She's like, you just got this kind of time, homie? I mean, I guess so.
The beauty of it, though, for Trump, and I heard from people who had no idea who this kid was, much like you, but even more like people in like their 50s and 60s. And
Thanks for that.
Good separation. And their worry was, because they read all the reports of it, it was like one of the highest streamed thing in history, yada, yada, yada. But their thing was they felt like Trump going into an environment like that, and they felt like he was like listening, quote unquote, listening to young people.
Totally.
And, like, just like being there, totally out of his element. And there is a feeling of, especially among men, that part of the reason why he's doing so well with men, that this is our guy. This is our guy. Our guy's willing to just like go on this shithead's street to reach us. You know what I mean? Like because even the viewers of Aiden Ross knows he's a shithead, right? Like they know
it's part of his appeal.
It's a part of his appeal.
I was thinking, it was like, who's our version of this on the left? Do we have one?
I mean, the only person, shouts to Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker is the closest. Well, also, I would also say this. Hassan Piker is way better than Aiden Ross. He's way better than all of these, grifters and right-wing provocateurs. But he's mastered the art of this medium, which is streaming for hours and hours and hours a day and building a community.
Right.
Hassan is by far the best at that. Hassan, I think, is frustrated. I was watching him stream a few days ago, And I think he is frustrated because I think he would love to have Kamala.
It's
or
a
Biden.
massive failure that
He
we're
would
not.
love to have people on his stream, but his whole thing is like, they're never gonna do it. They're never.
That's
gonna
crazy.
Do it. Yeah.
So yeah, a couple things jumped out. One is President Trump was saying that he went because his sons told him about it, and he's like, I think this is really cool what you're doing. So tell me, like, who are the Nemley brothers or Nemley boys or something? He was referencing them. And he was trying to Trump's credit, he really actually was listening. He's like, so are they your competition? Like, how does this work? Do you guys work together? Do you make things together? He asked Aiden a lot of interesting questions, and it made me curious about, like, who is our version of that? Why aren't we doing more of that? And it made me remember, like, you at the White House tried to get us on this ages and ages ago, like bringing in YouTube stars at the very, very early days.
Yeah.
That would have been what, 2013, 2014?
This was like, over a decade ago. Thank you, Carri Twig.
Yeah.
You're really always thinking of me. But no, one of my biggest things there, I was a big YouTube fan at that time, and we were trying to sell healthcare. We're trying to sell healthcare.gov. We're trying to get young people, particularly young men, to go to this website to sign up for healthcare. And I was like, look, we got to bring the biggest we call them YouTube stars.
Yeah,
before the term creators was born.
Sure.
So we invited like a dozen of the biggest YouTube stars. But the cool thing about that event was it was not a press event. Like we didn't film any of it. That's not true. We filmed behind the scenes of it, but it wasn't made to be like what Trump did. Like it wasn't meant for just people watching it. It was actually sort of what you were describing with Trump. Like President Obama was curious. And it was a Roosevelt room meeting. And he was like, Sasha and Malia love all you guys. They watch you every day. And he just wanted to know, like, how does this work?
Yeah.
Like, how often are you putting out content? How do you communicate with your community? You know, like, how do you choose the topics and the issues that you want to talk through? And I think that, this current White House, we were so gifted with Obama because he was cool and he was transformational and he was like kind of a celebrity in and of himself.
And I don't think he had an adversarial relationship with other people making things. Like I think
100%.
Maybe with the press corps, but I think he was super down to. I think he was genuinely curious, to your point, and like wanted to go on Bill Simmons, wanted to go on these things. Was both a consumer.
Mark Maron. Yeah, he was willing to kind of like go outside the box. He chose the things that he, as you should, he chose the things that he personally liked.
Right.
And we're fans of. And then obviously he went on Ferns, which is, something I helped produce. But I think, Biden, clearly that was not his jam.
Right.
Like any of that stuff was not his jam. And what we have now with Kamala is we're coming in at this weird moment where, did you see the Kai Cenat thing?
Yeah.
So Kai Cenat is like an Aiden Ross, like one of the biggest streamers in the world. He's been doing some like huge streams with like Kevin Hart. Like he's crossed the Rubicon of not just traditional streams, like celebrities. He's endorsements from the NBA. He's endorsements from Louis Vuitton. Like he's crossed over.
Yeah.
Like he's the guy. He goes on Twitter or he goes on a stream and he's like, Kamala Harris campaign wants me to do some shit with them. And he's like, I'm not going to do it. And it was, again, I'm like, oh man, I don't know who's running this operation, but.
Well, he was saying that he was like, they've put Secret Service on me. Like, I was just, like, and I don't, like, I know who he is, and I've watched a show a couple times or a stream, like, but cumulatively, maybe 90 minutes over the course of years, right? And so I saw that clip, and he's screaming about the Secret Service, and he's like in a U-Haul in New York.
It's
like,
so
he's in the
weird.
back of, it's so weird. He's talking about some campaign staffer that he's trying to sleep with.
So many things are happening.
What is happening, guys?
All right, we spent 20 minutes on Gaza. Let's spend 20 minutes on Kai.
Bring it down.
So here's the thing where I think this is bullshit. And Kai, if you want to come on the Twig and Jenkins podcast with Hassan Piker, you're more than willing. Number one, Secret Service is not going to reach out to you until they've confirmed that anything is happening. So
The
that
campaign
doesn't.
would have reached out first.
Yeah, that doesn't even make any sense. Secret Service is the last step in whatever it is you were going to do. So until you agree to do a podcast interview with the Vice President of the United States, then the Secret Service comes in. So the fact that he's like, Secret Service is reaching out to me.
Means, or it at least suggests that he's already said yes to doing an interview.
Exactly. Unless, I mean, the only thing I'm thinking in my head is, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe there's someone on his team that's trying to make this happen. And so maybe they're pitching the White House / the campaign. And then
they're just going to tell him about it as a surprise.
Yes, exactly. Or it could be like, they are sort of working, bless you, Twig. They are sort of working through, like, could this be feasible? And there is a vet. That does happen. There's a vet of who this person is, like, what kind of stuff. But that doesn't happen, again, until
way later.
You've agreed to do the podcast. And then, yeah, you're right. It was so weird because he was like, I've been trying to get with this girl. He got personal.
For 2 years, 3 years.
I've been trying to get with this girl for 2 years.
Haven't heard from her.
And
apparently got ghosted.
Apparently got ghosted, and apparently this person works on the campaign.
I mean, great. Who knows? It was hard to follow.
Twig and I, next week, we will give an update on who this person is. They'll be on the podcast. But I think that, well, one, if any of this stuff is true, or at the very least there's conversations with Kamala going on, Kai, I think that's good.
Yeah.
What else do you think Kamala should be doing in addition to, I think she should go on Hassan Piker, by the way. I think she would be great. I think that format would be great.
Yeah.
The thing about Hassan is, you know, he was at the Young Turks. He sort of fashions himself as a journalist himself. Like, he'll ask her hard questions. That's good. Hard questions are good.
Absolutely.
Like,
how are you going to be president of the United States?
How are you going to be president of the United States, especially for young people? So she should go on Hassan Piker. What else do you think? Should she go on, like, some of our favorite podcasts or some of our favorite shows? Like, what would you recommend if you were her communications director? What she should do?
I mean, pie in the sky. I think she should do every sort of Democrat or left skeptical show without going full Fox News, right? Like,
I love that.
I'd put her on Real Time. I'd put her on anyone who is sort of like.
Although I hate Bill Maher.
But that like.
But go ahead, sorry.
But it's.
Am I allowed to say this on podcasts? I think
not?
I'm allowed to say. Yeah, okay.
But he still commands an audience. He sort of fairly or unfairly has the like, he tells it like it is, center of the road type of thing.
She should go on.
And is critical of the excesses of the left as much as he is critical of the excesses of the right. And I think that that's fair. I mean, we have, the left is not beyond reproach. And so.
Agreed.
Should
she go on Rogan?
Yeah, why not?
I would put her on Rogan.
Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to be president, it's a hard job.
Yeah.
Going on Joe Rogan should be easy. Like, it should be, it's a opportunity cost, right? It's like, it's what would she be doing instead? I think it's less about sort of anyone's fear about her going on, or maybe, but she could be raising money, she could be talking to potential voters, whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of having a potentially disastrous appearance on Joe Rogan.
The thing about Rogan, like, I've been watching and listening to Rogan for so many years, and like, he's been so captured by this bullshittery. Like, he really has been. Like, he's evolved in a way that's so disappointing. And watching his show, I watched his show last night, and his like critiques of Kamala were such bullshit that like if she was on her show, she would reveal and expose him as like, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. And that's where I think she's good. Like, we don't give her enough credit. I think we get these clips of her sometimes like fumbling her words at some like random event 3 years ago. But I think that I agree with you. I think that she should, I do think her comms team is going to play it safe, though.
I think comms teams' jobs are to be conservative to a certain extent. Like, their job is to be kind of risk assessment managers.
Yeah.
But in many ways, the campaign is, swinging for the fences. Good for them, and I would love to see them do something that is unexpected, which goes to the debate, right?
Goes to the
Like,
debate.
The Fox debate, which I think she should do. I think she should try and, someone else said this on something I listened to, but someone should be like, I will 100% come to the Fox debate, but you still have to honor our agreement and come to the other one.
So you add one.
Add one.
Add
Or
a second
do
debate.
2 more instead of just agreeing to do the Fox debate.
So for those of you who may have missed Twig and I's, did we talk about this in our live stream that I so mangled because my earbuds weren't in? I was in the middle of
you wandering around
City.
on a set for like
I have
5
friends
minutes.
texting like, bro, this is embarrassing. Like, what are you doing?
Good thing Oscar didn't see
I'm
it.
just texting. I'm just like walking around Studio City.
No, people are like, you guys are so funny.
We're
I'm just
so
like,
funny. You so don't know how technology works. Meanwhile, we are producers. Like, we should know how technology works. But on Twig and I's rapid response Instagram Live,
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about this because what ended up happening with the debate, there was a scheduled debate. Everyone agreed to the terms. Trump pulled out and said, fuck you. Sorry. We're... So sorry, no more cursing.
Can we put a little graphic?
Yeah, we'll put a
that
little
just
graphic.
counts the number of times you say an F-bomb?
I'm not going to do this debate. I want to do the debate on Fox News. And it was a little bit of like, he's like a little bit of a coward.
Oh, a little bit?
He's a lot of a coward. But in his defense, I'm sure he's like, look, I went on CNN. You know what I mean? Like, I went on CNN. I went to the Lion's Den. I not only went into CNN, into the Lion's Den, I took out your guy.
Yeah, so
I
then
cut
what
your guy's
changed?
throat.
Yeah.
I took him out. So now I get my home court.
So what changed? Like, big man, all right? You were so powerful. You swung such a, you're so big that you took out the last Democratic nominee. Do it again.
Do it again.
Do it again, boo-boo.
So we were discussing on the IG Live, like, it would be a baller move for Kamala to just go on.
Yeah. But
Fox
she should
News.
extract something. She can't
Yeah.
let him lead her around by the nose,
Because I think it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're going to have Fox News hosts that, they can't be, clearly they're going to be, the other thing Trump asked for was an audience.
Well, that's the thing, which gasses him, which he loves. And listen, as a words of affirmation, Gemini myself, like, I get it. I live for praise.
I actually did not like the no audience in the debate. I actually think the rules, the terms that the Biden campaign agreed to did not help him. Because I actually think Joey B thrives off an audience.
He's a true extrovert.
He really likes an audience.
Yeah.
And I think that, and also I think he did have, obviously stumbled from the very jump, but when he started getting going a little bit, if he had an audience to feed off of, I think that could have really helped him.
Do you think we could go to the debate? How do you get ticketed for the debate? I would 100%.
Twig, we have cameras now. We're a real show. Of course we're going to go to the debate. Of course we're going to go to the debate. Last but not least, because I think that we have to close every show with JD Vance. Because I feel like...
That's the debate I want to go to. I would get...
that's true!
I would willingly get carried out of an arena heckling JD Vance at a debate.
That is the debate we go to.
Yeah.
The Walz.
Screaming Papa Walz.
The Walz Vance debate. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. How are you feeling about your guy? Your guy's from Ohio. For those who've never watched a Twig and Jenkins blurry Zoom podcast episode, you may not know that Twig and I...
You may not have hung around to the
You
end.
may not know about us, but Twig and I used to work at the White House. We are best friends. Also, Twig hated me when we first started working at the White House.
Until I met his wife.
Until Twig met my wife.
It's like, if Marina Jenkins is willing to marry you, then there must be something redeeming.
Actually, but there isn't. I tricked her. But...
You and Aiden.
I tricked Marina Jenkins. But we talked, Twig is an Ohioan to her core. Yeah. She is an Ohio girl.
Don't let the Santa Monica life fool you.
Exactly.
Don't let this Lightwood fool you.
Don't let this weed whacker out here confuse you. But give us a JD Vance update. I think like every episode, I just want to hear your anger about
Well,
JD
he
Vance?
continues to flounder, which is great. I generally speak never cheer
great.
for anyone else's downfall, but it is amazing to watch him be unsuccessful. And his wife came out to defend him this week. And, you know, I get it. Spouses and families should be out of the mix, but she's campaigning to be second lady of the United States, right?
Right.
And she said, you know, her husband was only insulting women who've chosen not to have children because there were so many women. Jennifer Aniston came out and was like, sis, like, I hope your kids get to have kids. Like, I tried really hard and didn't work out for me. And I'm sure she's hearing about it at Pilates or cycling or whatever her exercise class of choice is. A bunch of women were unhappy with those comments. And here's the thing. As someone who has yet to have children and just spent the summer in Europe, child-free, not having kids is great. Like, everyone should do their thing.
As someone who has children.
And I'll have kids sometime, but, like, also not having kids and living your life is amazing. And so I think, I don't know, just these guys, they're just so whack.
They're so weird.
It's like a cult without walls, these people.
They're the other thing, I think, when we move past weird, because weird can only last so long. I think. The one thing I worry about.
Workshop some other options.
We should workshop some options. The thing about weird, it only lasts so long because, again, puts focus on them.
Yeah.
And I do think we need to start now with Walz on the ticket too. Like, the two of them together start articulating, like, all right, bro, like, what are you going to actually do in the next 4 years?
Yeah.
Not just that they're weird, but like, here's how we're going to make your life better. So that's one.
My favorite meme, that reminds me, my favorite meme of JD Vance was like a photographic analysis of confirming that he wears eyeliner.
He wears eyeliner.
And as someone who wears eyeliner and loves eyeliner, and really believes in its power to make your eyes pop.
Yeah.
Like, it's the fact that JD has now, we've verified the couch rumors.
Yes,
like,
we verified the couch rumors.
That he wears eyeliner, which we love men and mascara and eyeliner, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But that he's out here shilling this kind of like fraudulent concept and construct of masculinity while also like highlighting his baby blues.
His eyeliner. God
Can't
bless.
stand this guy.
This guy's the worst.
Yeah, he really is.
And it's the worst vice presidential pick in recorded history. Did you see this?
Most unpopular. But
Unpopular. Yeah. Like, since we've done like modern polling in the past 50 years, he's the most unpopular VP pick.
It's great. Good for him.
I love that we're closing on this. Twig, how do we
Well, no, we're not. We have a guest.
Oh, we have a guest.
First guest episode.
Guys, we have a guest. You should talk about our guest. Or do you want
Ryan.
me to talk about our guest?
You should talk about our guest. You introduced me to our guest.
We're going to have our boy Ryan Alexander Holmes. He is the most attractive man in America.
He really is.
Like top 5.
Yeah, so I invited him to my house.
Maybe top 3. So we invited him to her house. I don't know why. He, like me, is Blasian. The Blasian committee is uniting today in our podcast episode. Twig is allowed in as well as a half-black brethren. And yeah, we're just gonna we're gonna day drink maybe. We're gonna have some drinks. We're gonna talk about Kamala, and it's gonna be fun.
Crack some jokes.
We may even change our shirts because I'm sweating.
We should totally change our shirts.
even
So
know.
it looks like a new episode.
It'll look like a new episode. I don't know how I look. I'm like sweaty. So I might change my
Put
shirt.
the AC on.
No, it's good. I'm just being self-conscious. Because Ryan is so good looking. I want to look okay.
So
next
tall.
to him. I know. And
It's
very
funny, which you know I love. I love.
he's so much better than you in every way.
Wait, what?
Ryan
Me?
is Alexander.
He's better than me in
No,
every way?
me.
Stop it.
Twig and Jenkins, Twig and Holmes. You know, we can swap it out. But we love you guys.
Thank you.
Episode 3. Here are the updates because we have to do.
Sorry.
We've not been. My friends who do podcasts are like, Brad, you've not done any like housekeeping. Like when people do podcasts, they do this work. So we have a Spotify channel now.
Okay. Yes.
You can go to Spotify and Twig and Jenkins subscribe to the Spotify podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Twig is laughing at me.
No, it's great.
And then you have to rate us 5 stars, and that helps us. That helps people find the podcast.
Okay.
And then we have a YouTube.
Uh-huh.
But mostly we're just on Instagram. Which gives us no money, but we just want people to see.
It's fine.
We're just doing this because we love each other and we love America and we want people to vote and we want people to realize that like we're still losing and we have to win.
And I think also we need better and more coverage options. Like
Sure.
You shouldn't have to. There's 95 different people you can watch on the right that are talking about politics every single day and with their own style and their own flavor. And there's just not as many choices.
So what you're saying is like there's no choices, so it might as well be us.
I mean, I've been waiting around for somebody else to pop up and it hasn't happened quite yet.
It's true.
I mean,
it's true. All right. Well, we love you guys. Twig and Jenkins. Next week we'll be in DC.
Can't wait.
Twig is coming to my city. I came to her city. And then the week after, we'll be in Chicago at the convention. Twig and I have credentials. We're going to be like in the mix.
Throwing a party.
We're going to throw a party. Maybe we'll get an interview with, if we got a Walz interview.
Can you imagine? They'd be like, yeah, let's use vice presidential nominee's time to talk to the 2 people we know are going to vote for him.
That's right.
And there's 7 followers, one of which is Carrie's non-citizen father.
And my daughter. Yeah. That's it. Those are the only people. No, but why not? All right, fine. Let's be aspirational about it.
That's right.
Twig and Jenkins. I guess, the Rhino episode will be a different episode, though.
Yeah.
I was going to say, listen
We're going to tighten this up. We're going to tighten this up, guys. Hang in there.
Peace, guys. Play the theme music that we have not selected yet. We need a music cue as well.
Window to the walls. Oh, no. Walls it out.
Walk it out. That's what we'll play.